Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Alicia George. We are happy that you could have joined us. In our top stories, man charged in arson case gunned down. He is now being treated at the Princess Margaret Hospital. The Ministry of Health implements preventive measures against deadly Ebola virus. From the region, price of bread in St. Lucia to rise due to increased indirect costs. And internationally, man killed as e-cigarette explodes. In sports, St. Vincent and the Grenadines makes winning start to WICB Women's Super 50 tournament. Stay with me as I bring you the details of these and other stories. Welcome back. The man at the center of the former magistrate Glensworth Emmanuel home fire bombing, Denny Shillingford, is now a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital following an alleged shooting incident in St. Joseph Thursday night. Reports are that Shillingford was shot numerous times. Police Public Relations Officer Assistant Superintendent Claude Wicks, while confirming the incident, did not have sufficient information to comment on the matter up until news time. Shillingford gained notoriety when he confessed that he was paid in part by Earl Cecil Grant to carry out the firebombing on former magistrate Glensworth Emmanuel's home on December 24, 2010. He said he was coming clean because the organizers did not stick to their end of the bargain. SAT TV will provide an update on this story as soon as more information comes to hand. The Ministry of Health has begun implementing preventative measures in response to the Ebola virus now affecting parts of the African continent. The virus, which has already killed 939 people in West Africa, is highly infectious and is spread by person-to-person transmission through direct contact with bodily fluids or secretions of infected persons, including blood, sweat, urine, or feces. In an official statement on Thursday from the Ministry of Health, Dr. Charlotte Jeremy Coffey, officer in charge for Chief Medical Officer, said the ministry has implemented preparedness measures to face the introduction of possible Ebola cases, even though the risk to Dominica is low.
Immediate measures are being taken to strengthen the surveillance system already in place under the International Health Regulations, or IHR. This includes providing relevant information to travelers, increasing medical staff at ports of entry, mobilizing appropriate protective gear, making arrangements for quarantine of persons who are suspect.
Dr. Coffey, in speaking on the severity of the Ebola virus, said it kills 9 out of every 10 people.
The Ministry of Health has started increasing preventative measures in response to this threat. Ebola virus disease, or EVD, formerly known as Ebola hemorrhagic fever, is a severe, often fatal illness. Up to 9 out of every 10 people with the infection die. There are no licensed specific treatments or vaccine available for use in people or animals.
Dr. Coffey said the time between acquiring an infection and showing symptoms and signs varies from 2 to 21 days.
The virus is highly infectious and is spread by person-to-person transmission through direct contact with bodily fluids or secretions of infected persons, including blood, sweat, urine, or feces. The most common symptoms experienced by persons infected with the virus are the sudden onset of fever, intense weakness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat.
Although Dominica does not have direct flights from countries where transmission of Ebola is currently being documented, it is feared that the introduction of Ebola virus disease into the region may occur through international air travelers. Local health personnel are being updated on how to recognize and manage Ebola, and all relevant stakeholders are being informed of the necessary plans to be put in place if it were to reach the island. The Ministry of Health will continue to keep the public informed about Ebola and urges everyone to pay close attention to the messages that will be disseminated about the virus in the coming days and weeks. The death of Joshua Etienne of Picard, which occurred while in a prison cell at the Portsmouth police station, has sent shockwaves throughout the island. However, Police Public Relations Officer Inspector Claude Wicks has promised the public that investigations into his death will be carried out fair and without partiality. Etienne was arrested on August 4th about 9:30 p.m. at Granville for possession of ammunition and was subsequently placed in the cells. About 5 a.m. on August 5th, he was found seemingly lifeless in the cells and was later pronounced dead by a district medical officer.
Indeed, it would be of concern to the police, hence the investigations into the matter. It would be of concern to the family of the person who has died. It would be concerned to the general public at large. And as a result, we have to investigate this matter impartially and professionally at that, and of course in a timely manner as well. No one in this country would expect that someone has died in police custody and take it for a joke. This is very, very serious, and of course we expect the public to look forward to answers, and hence, as the investigations is in its embryonic stages at this juncture, and I'm sure as things continue to unfold, we will see what happens in that regard.
Wiggs said police officers are expected to uphold the standard of the law in all circumstances.
Because if we operate within the parameters of the law, if we operate as our oath articulates, and which it says that we must operate without fear or favor. In other words, it's all about justice and fairness. In other words, you cannot, as a police department or as a police officer, hope to do things and not, let us say, be corrected or called upon to do the right thing. So as a police department, and given the circumstances of this particular report that has come in regarding Portsmouth, it's well on its way being investigated. As I alluded to, the inquest has been opened. Of course, a post-mortem will be performed, and the investigations in the matter will continue in that regard.
He added the police force is sympathetic to the family of the deceased, as losing a loved one is very difficult. Meanwhile, Police Chief Daniel Carbon says this is a very serious incident, which from the offset has been treated as a homicide. The chief stressed that justice will be swift for those who are allegedly involved. SAT-TV News understands that on Thursday afternoon, 4 police officers attached to the Portsmouth police station were in police custody, while 2 officers are being questioned during the ongoing investigation. ASP Wiggs revealed the inquest and post-mortem into Etienne's death has been completed, and police officers are expected to be interviewed. Just 23 days following their last protest outside of the financial center, the employees of the Public Works Corporation, PWC, along with the General Secretary of the Dominica Public Service Union, DPSU, Thomas Later, will head to the streets again in protest action on Monday, August 11th. Later told SAT-TV News since the date last set between the Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, and himself turned out to be a holiday, he is yet to receive a new date from the Prime Minister.
We have done, as I said, everything that is humanly possible. We have been criticized because of the slow pace that people believe that we have demonstrated or we took in addressing the situation. In spite of that, we felt that we had to do whatever we had to exercise patience, but it has reached a point where we are saying, since there is nothing else that can be done, that we believe we can do, we have to move to the next level, and that next level is a demonstration.
Later said he has written to the Chief of Police, Daniel Carbon, for permission to protest for 2 days. Later said, based on a discussion with the police chief, he is of the suspicion that permission might only be granted for 1 day of protest. He noted the issues facing the PWC employees are yet to be resolved, hence the actions need to be taken.
Up to last Friday, the guys had not been paid for 3 fortnights. 3 fortnights, that's 6 weeks. The monthly paid employees had not been paid for 2 months. Social Security contributions are not being paid on their behalf, and therefore, when they are not well, when they are ill, when they are sick, they do not receive medical benefits. People did their income tax return for the 213 year, and only to realize that they cannot get their returns or their refund because contributions were not paid on their behalf.
The DPSU General Secretary said in instances where Social Security dues are not paid on behalf of the employees, it can negatively affect their pension benefits. Later said employees who have retired from the PWC are yet to receive their gratuity, while medical benefits are not being honored by the government. Later added the PWC employees have suffered enough, while the union has exhausted all its options in coming to a solution on the matter, so he's hoping that Dominicans will stand in solidarity with them in the demonstration on Monday. When we return, more stories. Welcome back. Police officer Zenny Augustine, who along with Chanel Walsh and Chad Bruni jointly charged with theft of a quantity of groceries from Minya 7-Eleven in Roseau, is expected to be relieved of his duties shortly. Police Public Relations Officer of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, Inspector Claude Wicks, made the disclosure to the media on Thursday.
In situations where police officers, in this case a police constable, has been arrested and taken before the court along with others, he having been charged with theft. We remember and we know the basic constitutional tenets that says a man is innocent until proven guilty. So the due process of the law has been engaged. There will be a trial day in January the 13th, 2015. In this matter, with respect to the police, it is very likely he is expected to be temporarily relieved of his duties.
Weeks assured the proper due process has to be followed, which will be carried out very soon. He said when police officers are involved in criminal activity, it creates a negative perception of the force.
As a police officer, you are not expected to be allegedly engaged in any form of criminality. And like we have already agreed, that the police were not above the law, and we must operate within the parameters of the law. Remember, we are custodians of the law, but at the end of the day, that's why we say we have to be above board to ensure that the image of the police department is sustained and the public can have confidence in the police.
Wicks is concerned that if the public loses confidence in the police, this will significantly erode its ability of police officers in carrying out their duties as police officers. The trial is set for January 13, 2015. A two-day consultation organized by the Caribbean Community CARICOM Secretariat and the Ministry of Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs on CARICOM Rapid Alert System for exchange of information on dangerous non-food consumer goods, CAREX, concluded on Friday. CAREX was developed in response to concerns expressed over the years by consumer representatives of the need to protect consumers from unsafe products. Member governments subsequently agreed to establish and operate adequate market surveillance systems to prevent the importation of these dangerous goods by stopping it at the borders once they have been detected elsewhere in the CARICOM. During his welcome remarks, Mathan Walter, Acting Director of Trade, urged participants to engage in the discussions.
Engage in lively discussions, ask questions, and ensure that upon leaving here today, you have exhausted our dear friends from the CSME unit and at the same time enlightened yourself about this initiative. Then go out and play your part in spreading the good news.
Deputy Program Manager at the CARICOM CSME unit, stationed in Barbados, Philip McLaurin, said the Windward Islands were addressed first. He said the consultation in Dominica is the fourth of its kind. McLaurin said the objectives of the mission are twofold and includes the operationalization and activation of CAREX in member states.
The web portal is up, but not yet populated and not being used and utilized by member states. And we are here more so to get all the national contact points and national authorities and public agencies activated to fully utilize this system.
The CARICOM Secretariat will also seek to raise public awareness on the work being conducted to promote the surveillance system expected to be implemented in Dominica by September 2014. McLaurin believes that CAREX is an important system for CARICOM, adding that in the past, member states had to rely on other entities to receive alerts on contaminated non-food products.
In the recent past and now, we had to rely on international organizations to tell us when there is a dangerous good, particularly on the US market or in Europe, and perhaps it may be on our own market in CARICOM.
The products covered under CAREX includes toys, vehicles, cosmetics, children's equipment, clothing, textiles and fashion items, household appliances, machine tools, kitchen and cooking accessories, gas and heating appliances, jewelry, machinery and construction materials. Food and pharmaceutical items have been exempt from the system since these products are processed under stricter regulations. Following the workshop, the government of Dominica will continue making strides towards finalizing the Consumer Protection Legislation Bill and legislative amendments that will allow for stronger official interventions. The government will also seek to strengthen the Consumer Protection Unit within the Ministry of Trade with assistance from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. Kalinago Blood, a book written by Dominican author Alec Lazar, was launched on Thursday at the Anchorage Hotel. The novel, according to the author, is based on historical accounts of the genocide of the Kalinago people around the 16 to 1700s.
Kalinago Blood is a story of love and violence, sex and romance, jealousy and fratricide, greed and genocide. It is a story of the simplicity and naturalness of a native people and their struggle to survive in an environment that they had kept pristine and pure for hundreds of years.
Speaking at the book launch, Lazar said he wanted to tell the story of Indian Warner, the son of an English colonizer and a Kalinago woman who lived in Dominica. Lazar told the gathering that his research took him deep into the Kalinago history.
My research took me to a wide range of sources: our local archives, the invaluable writings of Dr. Lennox Honeychurch, extracts from the works of Douglas Taylor, several issues of a French periodical called Kalukeiva, studies by Peter Hume and by Philip Boucher, and a curious little-known book in 2 volumes called Antigua and the Antiguans.
The book launch forms part of the activities to celebrate the 7th Nature Island Literary Festival. The story speaks of the boy's mother, thought to be called Bobby, and how he found his way back to Dominica after the death of his father, Sir Thomas Warner.
I found an intriguing character named Bobby, a captive of the Kalinago on St. Kitts. This Bobby had betrayed her Kalinago captors by informing Warner of a plan to kill him and all the other settlers on St. Kitts. The reason for wanting to kill them was because Warner and his men had encroached beyond the plot of land that the Kalinago had generously allowed them to use when they were shipwrecked on the island.
The genocide of the indigenous people began when Warner preempted an attack on the Kalinagos while they were drunk and asleep, subsequent to receiving the information from Babe. The story is described as a thriller, taking readers through events which took place during the massacre.
Both lines converge when mother and son met again on Dominica, where they had both found refuge, and where Indian Warner leads the campaign to keep the Kalinago alive and in possession of their lands.
To date, the descendants of the survivors of the Kalinago genocide are still found in the Kalinago territory in Dominica. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.